So the way Valve is handling the Steam Deck, I think just gives me a lot of optimism for the future of handheld PC gaming. They recently refreshed the Steam Deck with Steam Deck OLED, and it pretty much addresses every issue I had with the original Steam Deck. Now, this is no Steam Deck 2, it's not more powerful, but it adds certain features and it makes certain adjustments that show a lot of consideration. I think this is a great refresh for what is a beloved device. So, the details are right here. You can see the price points. So, the LCD version got a price drop, the 256GB version, but then you got the OLED editions, which come at a price point of $550 for the 512 gigabytes version, and then $650 for the 1 terabyte version. So you can already see that there's more storage space to deal with here, which is awesome. And the crazy thing here is the price point. This $650 for a 1 terabyte device that has the power that it does and the convenience that it offers for gaming is actually just a really good value, at least in the market of handheld PC console style handheld devices. And then you got this limited edition right here that's only not much more expensive than the non-limited edition. Instead of $650, it's $680, $30 more, and you get this limited edition that has this translucent casing with some red highlights and all these things. So this is a really attractive device. I hope I can get my hands on the limited edition personally. I'm gonna have to, wake up early and make sure that I'm like there on time when these go live on November 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific. I probably just made things disadvantageous for me by advertising that to you guys, but screw it. You guys should know when to expect this device. So the Steam Deck OLED, what's different about it? There's this Verge article titled "Valve Reveals the Steam Deck OLED, $550 buys better screen, battery, and more," that has this bullet list that I think is a great summary of all of the changes you can expect, all of the improvements you can expect out of the Steam Deck OLED, starting with a bigger 7.4-inch 90 Hz. The original screen was 60 Hz, so now you can go up to 90 Hz for those indie games that can run at higher than 60 frames per second on the Steam Deck. RGB stripe OLED custom Samsung screen. So that alone is already it solves my biggest gripe with the original Steam Deck, which was that I wish it had an OLED screen. And the fact that it's a little bigger actually at 7.4 inches and fills more of the canvas makes it even better. Displays 110% DCI P3 color gamut, up from estimated 67% sRGB, so huge upgrade there. 1000 nit HDR peak brightness, 600 nit SDR peak brightness, up from 400 nits. You know what I mean? This is the screen is the window to these games, and that's seen such a substantial upgrade that alone I think is, for me personally, going to make purchasing this Steam Deck worth it. This upgrade is going to be worth it for that, for me. The battery life has seen an upgrade from 40 watt hour to 50 watt hour. So it is estimated that it's, instead of 2 to 8 hours of the original, it's 3 to 12 hours. So that is a substantial increase in battery life. Obviously, if you're playing more demanding games, the difference between 2 to 3 hours, while substantial, you're not going to be gaming all day on this thing. You still want to find a plug, somewhere to keep the device powered on. But that is still quite the improvement. It's certainly very welcome. More efficient die shrink 6 nanometer AMD Sephiroth APU versus 7mm Aerith. I love the Final Fantasy references here. You've got faster memory to boot. Instead of the 5500 megatransfers per second, that's up now to 6400. 29 grams lighter depending on configuration. So they made the device better and also just more wieldy. From what I've seen from reviews, you can actually feel that this device is lighter compared to the original Steam Deck. Larger, quieter fan. The original Steam Deck definitely could have used a quieter fan, and from the reviews that I've seen, the fan in this is it is noticeably quieter, so the speaker experience when you don't have headphones or something is going to be much better. Larger heat sink, so just better cooling across the board. I wonder if this is going to translate to better performance, marginally. While again, this is not a Steam Deck 2, maybe the better cooling can allow the device to push its current hardware a little harder, maybe. I don't know. Louder speakers with improved bass, 1mm taller thumbsticks with wider head and recessed, smoother thumb divot, so they've improved the thumbsticks even. It's those little things that add up to a much greater whole. Darker printing on buttons, high fidelity haptics, or higher fidelity haptics, so just how much stronger, I guess, the vibrations are on the haptics, so that should be interesting to experience. Redesigned trackpad for improved fidelity and edge detection. As someone who used the trackpad a lot, not just for navigating, Linux or whatever, but also for gaming, like I actually got used to using the trackpad to play shooters, to use my thumb to flick my camera around and then like use my thumb to aim more accurately alongside the gyroscopes. Me seeing the trackpad get improved, like that's Christmas for me. Wi-Fi 6E for 2 to 3 times faster downloads with new 6 gigahertz connectivity. So modernizing Wi-Fi, modernizing Bluetooth. Onboard mic can now be used simultaneously as headphone jack. A longer 2.5 M power cable or meter power cable up from 1.5 meters. Faster charging. I did find the Steam Deck charge a little slower than I'd like for me, so this is a great improvement. 20 to 80% in as little as 45 minutes. That's actually pretty damn good. 3 to 12 hours quoted battery life, up from 2 to 8 hours. Multicolor indicator LED versus white only. Torque screws instead of Phillips. Also, one of the great things about the Steam Deck is how the folks at Valve encourage you to, go in there and repair it as needed. Like, they're not saying that they officially sanction you going in there and modifying things, but they do want to make it as easy as possible for those who are tweakers to go in there and do what they want with it, which is why they've shown so much support for, third-party companies that dedicate themselves to essentially shipping repair materials or just extra elements that you can modify your Steam Deck with. So the fact that there are considerations there and adjustments are there for that aspect, torque screws instead of Phillips, machine screws on rear cover with metal bosses for easier repair. Bumper switch is now on joystick board for easier repair, improved bumper shock reliability, fewer steps required for common repairs. Replacing the display does not require taking the back off. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that no other company would consider. They don't want you to kind of go in there and modify the hardware all that much. They don't care how easy or hard it is for customers to kind of get into the guts of the device. Where Steam Deck, they're like, we want the tweakers to have as easy a time as possible, for those who know what they're doing on that front. So, I mean, this is just really cool for Valve to do. And then you got the price points here, 512 gigabytes for $550, a terabyte for $650, versus previously $530 for the 256 gigabyte version. So for just $20 more, you get double the storage with this new price point. And then the 512 gigabytes for $650 was the original price point of the Steam Deck. Now $650 gets you a terabyte, double the storage, and significantly more storage. Like, a terabyte built in is a lot more appropriate. So, I mean, this is just a pure win across the board. New carrying case with a terabyte model that has a second smaller shell inside, and then new limited edition transparent 680 models in the US and Canada that I really hope I'll be able to snag. And because of the way Valve sells Steam Deck through Steam, and they have a way to verify that you're a user and not just some bot, trying to scalp these things. I think if you're there on the day off, on the time off, and the website doesn't crash or Steam doesn't crash or slow down or whatever, you should be able to have an easier time getting the model that you want before it sells out. But also, it'll depend on demand. If there's a huge demand for this, it might be difficult even if you're right there on time. So, we'll see how that works out. Hopefully that'll be handled well. And if this is the level of consideration we can expect from Valve throughout the course of the Steam Deck brand's life, then imagine what they can do with Steam Deck 2, which they have said is probably going to be out in a couple years, so we shouldn't expect it like next year or anything. It won't be out anytime soon. I'd say 2 to 3 years is a good, it's a good kind of expectation to have currently. But I mean, I'm willing to wait because I think a lot of other companies are just churning out refreshes of their devices, and that devalues their brand. People feel like they've wasted their money because instead of just supporting one device thoroughly, they're just refreshing and making people feel like if they buy one, they're going to waste their money because there's going to be a better one, a couple months from now. Where Steam Deck is taking the approach of let's support this one version we have right now to the ends of the earth and really take our time with Steam Deck 2 so that it's a substantial upgrade so people can get the most out of the current Steam Deck. And with this refresh, it's still the same device, and you don't lose out on a whole lot by keeping your original Steam Deck. But with this upgrade, you do get enough where you get the ultimate version of what the original Steam Deck should have been. And the only thing that sucks is that people who bought the original might be like, damn, if I would have known there's an OLED refresh, I would have waited a little bit, but that's kind of the risk you take when you're like an early adopter of any new device that ships. You know what I mean? That's kind of the risk you take. So for those who waited, you're rewarded with what is very much the ultimate version of the Steam Deck. Now, as for what hasn't changed about the Steam Deck with this OLED version, same processor specs, same basic performance with no turbo mode. So if there are, improvements to performance based on the better cooling, it's probably negligible enough. 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, same NVMe M2 2230 SSD storage modules, same potentiometer joystick. So not Hall effect, a little disappointing, but I personally haven't had any issues with the joysticks on the Steam Deck that are currently built in. So it's not the biggest deal in the world, but Hall effect it's a little more future proofing. So hopefully with the Steam Deck 2, they'll get some Hall effects in there. Same dimensions, save for that 1mm taller joystick. So taller joysticks just give you more range of motion, and also with the kind of shape that the Steam Deck is, I think making the joysticks a little taller just makes it a little more comfortable to grip and wield. So I think that's going to be a really good thing. Same case compatibility, same buttons. Some are clickier, like shoulder buttons and Steam key. Okay, so they did make some minor adjustments in the feel of some buttons. Same screen resolution of 1280 by 800, which I think is perfectly fine for a 7.4-inch screen. User selectable fixed refresh rates, no variable refresh rate or AMD FreeSync, so I'm sure that'll be something that's going to be more of a Steam Deck 2 kind of situation. But you can still do things like adjust your frame rate to 45 FPS for more demanding games that don't run at 60, so you can still get a smooth frame rate that is lowered to something that's still not 30, where for me, 30 FPS now is a little too stuttery for me to be able to play. I've just gotten so used to 60 FPS. Same power supply wattage, same micro SD placement and speed, same game compatibility, same software updates, same starting price for a Steam Deck, period. So yeah, the way the device functions and from a software standpoint and all these things, it is very much still the same device. You don't absolutely have to upgrade to this if you have the original, but those adjustments are, for me, substantial enough where it is going to make for a much better Steam Deck experience. So I'm definitely going to be upgrading as soon as I'm able to. As for what reviewers are saying, The Verge gave the device an 8 out of 10, IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, and PC Gamer gave it an 89, which might as well be a 90 out of 100. As for what the pros and cons are, The Verge says, in terms of the good, infinitely customizable controls make decades of games playable, easily lets you balance performance and battery drain, fantastic screen that gets bright and dim, longer battery life, quiet fan, louder speakers. So The Verge confirms that the speakers are noticeably better than the original. And the original speakers of the Steam Deck were already pretty damn good. So that's not even an adjustment they had to make, but the fact that they did, again, just speaks to the level of consideration that Valve has. And the price point still being pretty comparable to the previous version of the Steam Deck. Again, just a win all around. Slightly better ergonomics, competitive pricing. As for the bad, the newest AAA PC games are leaving the Steam Deck behind. I still do own an ROG Ally, and for newer games, for the more demanding games that have come out more recently, those games definitely run noticeably better. They actually do run, period, on the ROG Ally, whereas on Steam Deck, it might struggle, or it might just not be compatible because Steam Deck is not running Windows, it's running Linux and stuff like that. So that's why I still have my ROG Ally handy just in case. It is just a significantly more powerful device. So I would like to see a Steam Deck 2 sooner rather than later, but I prefer Valve really take their time with this and really nail the second iteration of this device. HDR limited to HDR games, and there aren't many of those right now. Still not a stable platform for the it should just work crowd. So yeah, the software side of things, it's still seeing updates. It still needs more support, but Steam Deck is just noticeably getting better every single day, every single week, every single month. And then finally, Valve is still figuring out the refresh rate stuff. IGN, they say that the Steam Deck OLED brings a fantastic, vibrant screen to Valve's handheld gaming PC, but its most impressive upgrade is the much improved battery life, combined with all its other small but altogether significant improvements, not to mention more storage at the same price, and it's enough to tempt even current Steam Deck owners into upgrading, such as myself. And then last but not least, PC Gamer says that pros for this device are incredible price, excellent OLED display, impressive build quality, extra battery life is welcome. As for the cons, bulky design that isn't for everyone, and Linux can be a pain. Yeah, I'm more used to Windows, so as someone who's not as used to Linux, and you have to go through some hurdles to get certain things done you could do on Windows much easier. There are aspects of that can be a pain in the ass, but generally, Steam Deck OLED, especially for those who are, really invested in the Steam platform, this is going to be a device that you're going to be, for the most part, pretty happy with. And with the Steam Deck OLED now being a thing and it being a significantly improved device, I think I think this is very much a really great win for Valve. And this is a really great example of how to do a refresh, where it literally is just making what the original better, to the point where that original version is now the ultimate version of the original release. I'm, again, really encouraged by how Valve is handling the Steam Deck and all of its improvements, both in terms of software, but now in terms of hardware. They've really, I think, nailed it. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the Steam Deck OLED based on what reviews are saying, and what do you think about all of the improvements to it, all of the adjustments? Will you be upgrading, or are you just going to keep your original Steam Deck? And for those who haven't purchased a Steam Deck, is this going to be the version of the Steam Deck that's finally going to convince you to pick up this device, this OLED version that has seen so many improvements? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.